The beginning. Today, our mouths are covered with masks, so we must smile at our coworkers with our eyes. Today, our arms are forbidden from hugging, so we must support with our words. Today, we can't sit with our patients in person, so we must convey compassion with our voices. Today, it is hard not to be sad and afraid, so I will try to find respite in sleep and wait for the sun to rise on a new day.
The headlines say it's a slowdown, a time to pull in, to shelter in place. Social distancing, isolating, activities canceled, forming a bubble, remote schooling, work shutdowns, embracing the stillness. Social media features posts and pictures of hikes taken, exercise started, books read, family game nights, Zoom day drinking, hobbies begun. Crazy but enjoying this time together, the captions say. But I'm in my dining room on my computer all day, every day. Meetings, planning, good stuff, telemedicine. It's exciting, important, all hands on deck. Health access is needed now more than ever. My husband's still going into work all day, every day, keeping people working, a community fed, kids educated, supplies routed, plans made and executed, checks signed. I'm anchoring home, but my kids are navigating their own school course. I get them online, then jump on meetings that roll into meetings. Try to check in between to see what they're up to. 7th grade is doing okay. His school is organized, supportive, but he misses friends. 5th grade showing his sloth collection on Google Meet every day. 1st grade is lying over a chair, head dangling. She gave up. Too young for this. Emails come from school with enrichment opportunities, all parent mediated. At our house, we're down to the 3 R's and then only if lucky. Jim has homework? The kids time each other running into walls. Try to help 1st grade with math, but my meeting's starting now. She's back over the chair. By week 2, we're only doing schoolwork after 5 p.m. Neither of us are happy about this, but it's the only way that works. Now she's at loose ends. Mommy, can you play? I tap my headphones, reminding. She walks away sad, and I feel guilty. Her YouTube viewing soars. 5th grade is getting an early start on his gaming career. My daily steps plummet, and we've reinstated cocktail hour. I gain 5 pounds. Mental, physical, emotional exhaustion. By 8 p.m., I'm toast. We binge watch TV at night, too tired to move upstairs to bed. Work is a lifeline. It feels good to build something new, useful, purposeful. My team lends support, focus, drive, tolerates my kids' Zoom cameos. In a global pandemic, we're able to create a local solution, create order. As April winds down, telemedicine ramps up and we all stretch and learn. Patients are being seen, clinicians protected, care continued. It's not perfect, but it's good. Sometimes there are even glimmers of great. Meetings lighten. I return to the hospital to sidelined work. People have been patient where possible. The pandemic is shared priority. It's sinking in that this won't be over soon. Adaptations may be permanent. Back to a weird work-life balance with a zero-sum game twist. I'm happy to have work I enjoy, but feel guilty that I'm leaving my kids in the lurch. I wish I could be with my kids. then feel guilty for not appreciating having work. Every morning I drive in knowing I'll go home to school tonight, no enrichment included. At least the days are longer, lighter. We can hike after work and post a picture. Crazy, but enjoying this time together, the caption will say.
The hand of fate reaches down, plucking individuals to curse with cancer, a stray bullet, a car crash, or something worse. Without rhyme or reason, bad things happen to good folk, and we, the survivors, are left wondering how we woke in a warm bed in a safe home today, and not whether but when our immortality will betray. To enjoy the pleasures of life, this is the paradox of being, when there's a ticking time bomb guaranteeing an imminent end there is no foreseeing. COVID-19 exaggerated the randomness of life's unfairness. Science losing pace to the virus was all of our awareness. Paralyzed by how susceptible we are to wicked chance, because how can we make sense of arbitrary circumstance? Of one person in a family getting sick while all breathing the same air? Of which children among thousands will need life-sustaining care? Of who has it as a chronic companion, a reoccurring nightmare? Of those who are asymptomatic and were totally unaware? Of an infected young athlete left without a prayer? And suddenly we went from soccer game sidelines to writing our will, from coffee with friends to brainstorming which of them might fulfill the untenable role of being substitute parents if we become ill. From a carefree amble for a loaf of bread to microscopic spores entering a store filled with dread. This is our challenge in the face of how life will randomly twist and turn. Surviving the daily menace of uncertain death forces us to learn, to relay to our children that each day is one to be confronted as a new adventure, not meant to be tiptoed through and stunted, to be lived with spontaneity and joy and compromises, and to embrace all of its unexpected surprises. That someday we might forget to wash our hands, but that nothing, not even COVID-19's demands, can rob us of magnificence of the hug's power or the appreciation of having this fleeting hour.
It's a Monday afternoon in April, the first of 7 days on service at the height of COVID-19 in our small community hospital. I'm hunched over my desk, alone in the dim light of the resident room, speaking words I hoped never to say over the phone. Your husband is dying. I met first with silence, then with choking sobs. Finally, a quiet plea. Can I see him? I close my eyes and take a deep breath. I want so badly to say a simple yes, but the honest answer is, I don't know. It's been 4 weeks. 4 weeks since the patient and his husband have been in the same room. 4 weeks since they've held hands. 4 weeks since they've shared a smile without a screen in the way. I'm not certain pandemic policy will allow me to break the pattern. I end the call with a promise to do what I can. To this family, I am a disembodied voice that calls with only bad news. I speak a foreign language of O2 sats and chest CTs, viral loads and CD4 counts. I describe lungs filled with cancer and list off antiretroviral drugs like some kind of morbid tongue twister. I pray that my voice doesn't shake. In return, I hear the stories of a marriage, a serendipitous meeting, and more than 15 happy years together. I learn of the patient's kindness and gentle sense of humor, his love of Coca-Cola, his need for reading glasses. I hear of a career in public service coming to an end and dreams of travel now deferred. Over the past 48 hours, I have spoken to this family more than I have my own. It's odd that they may never see my face. I'm surprised to be proven wrong. With a voice now hoarse from overuse, I look forward to calling the patient's husband with the first piece of good news I've had all week. In response to my increasingly assertive pleas, the hospital has granted him permission to visit, a one-time only exception to the rigid rules of the pandemic, made even more timely by the patient's unfortunate deterioration overnight. Despite this allowance, I find myself dialing the now familiar number with a pounding heartbeat and a nauseating sense of dread, my brief victory tempered by the burning embers of a fury I can't quite seem to put out. It is the year 2020, more than 2 decades after HERT was made widely available in the United States, and I am watching a man younger than my father die from complications of AIDS. I imagine a time when HIV was still nameless and new, an invisible and vicious enemy, inevitably fatal. Is this how it felt? I am overwhelmed by the realization that not that long ago, I likely would have been calling with very different news. I have heard of doctors and nurses afraid to touch their patients, same-sex partners forced to stay at home, men and women dying alone, a twisted punishment for nothing more than having the audacity to love. This nightmarish legacy seems far too close for comfort, a mournful echo ringing in my ears. I think maybe I've tripped down the rabbit hole, the horizon in a slightly different place than before. The following day, we sit in quiet vigil at the patient's bedside, our plans for home hospice in shambles in the midst of a continued rapid decline. The patient's eyes are closed. His breaths come slowly. "How long?" his husband asks. I reach for his hand and squeeze, holding on tight as he starts to cry. My sense of time and place begins to melt away as I gently touch the patient's arm and murmur my own quiet goodbye. The patient is discharged to the hospice house later that day. The week goes on. While I know it's out there, I don't see much COVID-19. Instead, our census is filled with cancer, bleeding disorders, and end-stage liver disease, those who tried to stay home but just couldn't. I am bone-achingly tired, body heavy with grief, and as I dial the next family's phone number, I am struck by the irony that somehow the painfully shy girl who refused to speak on the telephone as a child grew up to be me. I don't tell anyone that there are days I wish I could climb back inside of her, curl up, and retreat into silence. A few days later, as I'm scanning my email from the comfort of my couch, I see a familiar name. FYI, a notification that the patient has passed and that his husband was with him to the very end. He was not alone. The tightness I've been carrying in my chest all week eases, and I feel like I can finally breathe. I look in the mirror and see relief. I am surprised that I don't see tears. I wonder if this is because it doesn't feel like he is truly gone. His story remains etched in my skin like an intricate tattoo, swirling spirals that may fade and stretch over time, but are unlikely to ever fully disappear. I don't know that I want them to.
Pandemic arrived like a quiet, invisible cloud. Everything is covered with masks and risks, choices and lessons. Isolation brings benefits with difficulties. Life ebbs and flows in an unfamiliar rhythm. Witness great acts of bravery plus kindness. Use hope as a compass through uncharted territory. Find new ways to live and provide support to others.
Still, after centuries of human suffering, our experience takes on different shapes. Disease is not new. Why the surprise? Obscured history lessons, conspiracy theories integrate. Are they similar? Stress, uncertainty, fear, confinement, isolation, depression. Where to go? Feeling vaguely lost. This is absurd. Providers have direction. Tears blurred vision. Exhaustion overwhelms us. Desensitized, benumbed, dull. Fragmented defense mechanisms. Now stop. Compassion fatigue ignored. It hurts to feel. But the suffering transforms that which is fleeting and collapses our familiar notions of what we thought was stable. Out of suffering, to make any sense, there is creativity. Expressions, impressions stir. Renewal like spring, dare to hope, for those survived, ray of light. Shines through a prism. See the faint glimmer? Hope opens us. Gently turn upward and create our future.
I worked at a mass vaccination event this weekend at the Speedway and left with renewed hope in our potential to unite and care for each other despite our political and societal divisions. The event was the epitome of efficiency, like bees in a hive. Each of us was given a role, and equally important to that role was our shared goal of helping each other. As he waited for the line to proceed, one of the people I vaccinated stared at the scene, hearing the spontaneous cheers that erupted every few minutes. I noticed his attention to the scene and said, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" He replied, "I have never seen so many people working so hard with so much joy." As the first cars rolled onto the track in the morning, the tent spontaneously erupted into celebration. Truly, there are deep divisions in our country. But just as true is the fact that we remain united in ways that we fail to recognize. Our vaccination event proved that simply asking for help can still result in thousands of people responding to celebrate and care for each other because it's just the right thing to do. The spirit of community I witnessed this weekend was inspiring. By focusing on what unites us, we can nurture our community to be stronger. Better to assume our neighbor has good intentions and respond with kindness knowing that even the smallest of our contributions makes a difference in reaching our potential as being truly united.
It was the year that the droughts, the fires, and the viruses stole our breath. It was the viruses that persisted and the breath became precious. We always knew the viruses were there, yet we seem surprised when they reemerge. The reemergence spurs us into action, repurposes our compassion, can split us into factions. We think about this as we stand together, masked, gowned, and gloved, hand in hand. We make sure together we are breathing.
Doctors for a noble, dropped in the base. Memories of COVID, hard to erase. Incident command, demand. Put a mask in your hand and then put it on your face. Where do we start? CDC mandate 6 feet apart. Gown up, glove up, put on that N95. Patient care first, folks need to survive. Kevin, Jan, and Carol, screeners, stopping at the door. No cough, no fevers, rules changing, no visiting, no entry. John D. better post up security. Jody's Depot, Herm, Roll and Pat. Kept up the PPE supply real pack. Allison facilities, Jay's telecom with IT started preparing lot E. They set up the COVID testing tent, then we built a shed. We were never gonna run Panther, PCR, Cepheid and the rapid test. The PCPs figured out which one was best. Joe's ESF cleaned up the rooms, avoiding the spread of the virus soon. Tom's food services wrapped up the food. Grab a sandwich when you were in the mood. The community, yeah, they understood. We got so much support from our hood. Food, masks, best wishes keep pouring in. With all this help, we were gonna win. We got a bonus for our efforts that we made, for all the blood, sweat, tears that we paid. Thank you, Bob and senior admin. But then that second wave came in. Crazy election, self-reflection. Don't get distracted, wear your eye protection. No end in sight, so many cold whites. Stressed, exhausted, working overnight. Arm around the shoulder, it will be alright. Here's coffee, get back in the fight. RP worrying about patient flow, rooming so many patients. Hey, nursing soup, hey, where they gonna go? ICU, PCU, PACU, CDU, yeah. You all know how to meditate, hydrate, sedate, intubate. Don't forget to ventilate. Top-notch patient care we own. Word spread, patients are better off prone. COVID prison inmates more and more. Posted officer outside their door. Kids all over home from school. Governments of the world struggling to rule. Lakes region, Franklin's challenges to be. Then next up, guess who? It's the DMV. Yeah, we were in it for the long haul, and we came up big. Yeah, we not small. COVID, yeah, we did. You done did your best. Now logging into Workday and self-attest. Word,
It's coming, it's here, a once-in-a-lifetime weird kind of year. While fraught with uncertainty, it was unquestionably good for me. March 20, 2020, sent me home on furlough. What will I do? No work and no dough. My high schoolers, remote, all at home and sometimes too close. No prom, sports, or graduation. No time for elation. Resilience and fear, laughter and loss. I saw my family connect while mourning the loss of things we held dear. My house spick and span, long-standing home projects got done. Time to cook healthy meals, read, relax, hike. This is almost fun. My college freshman goes gap year, a student no more. A little lost and confused, he looks for a door. Outside he heads to work on the trails. The environment calls to heal what ails. A bucket list of items he wants to complete. Take a class, go ice climbing, and maybe a summer retreat. My high school sophomore, she struggles, remote learning is tough. She misses her friends, dance in school, bearing witness is rough. But I'm home and I'm grateful to help them through this patch, watch them grow and mature, and figure out their path. For me, I've moved on, new role and new boss. My work has more meaning, no longer the loss. I look back on the year, I have no complaints. Time with my family, I can't lie, it was great. But I do see the toll on my colleagues each day and feel a bit guilty for having had time to play. I can only be there with my arms open wide, there to support, to laugh, and to cry. There is no greater pride that I feel when I see the hard work and devotion of the CH family. The virus unleashed, the healthcare hero unfurled. It's certainly not enough, but thank you for saving the world.
healthcare or in any area of the world, both professionally and personally. It's important to take time to reflect on our experiences for the past year and how these experiences have impacted us and our colleagues. This project started back in January with a question of, I have this crazy idea, what do you think? And it kind of has grown from there with a group of a lot of supportive people, both artists and some other people that I will mention. And we kind of wondered, if we build it, will they come? You can see they came, which is really, really so awesome. So what you experienced here today is a result of a lot of people's time and energy. It also, I think, has given us also all a chance to restore ourselves, connect with each other in a very different way. And we also have had, beyond the support of people that are here and the artists that submitted their work, some generous support from some donors. We'd like to recognize Bill and Nancy Braun. Thank you for your support. We also had support from Market Basket, Concord Monitor, Artson, Cat Hall, and NPR, and actually WNUR was here yesterday. So thank you.
Claude Monet used pointillism to craft his paintings, creating a masterpiece out of a million dots. If you were to stand very close to a Monet, with your nose within inches, it would look like just colorful blobs. You need to stand back to see how each of these colors form a picture and tell a story. That's what this art exhibit is. Each piece of work, writing, painting, photography, quilt, sculpture, is beautiful and compelling and full of talent on its own. But when you place them together, they tell a collective story that could not have been told individually. Creating art about hard stuff can be healing, and experiencing others' art can be healing together in the collective. We see how resilient we are. The healthcare working environment is fast-paced. Our normal mode of operation is multitasking quickly. Every day we are moved and troubled and elated and devastated and shocked by the stories we encounter. But there is work to be done, so we often don't pause, we keep going. One of the most striking parts of this weekend has been to be together in a slower environment and allow the time and space for our humanity and creativity and empathy to emerge, the same ways our smiles are emerging from behind the mask as COVID-19 becomes something we live with rather than something that dictates how we live. Engaging with the art, whether creating it or sharing it or experiencing it, can reintroduce us to our ability to think and feel at the same time.
So this was very much a grassroots effort. The idea sprouted and germinated through the help of a small but determined ad hoc Arts and Health Committee, which consisted of the following members: Marianne Shafi, Maureen Dunn, Valerie Ferland, Kate Morse, Ellie Plum, Betsy Reinhardt, Courtney Susie, Katie Stanley, Amy Valeris, and Angela Yarden. This was only a brief exhibit, but it marks a really long and hopefully unique year plus in the lives of our staff. And in order to preserve a historical record of our organization's experiences, and also to make sure the exhibit is available for all staff to experience in some way, we are creating a virtual exhibit that will be made available to staff hopefully within the next month. We also hope that we've made some resources known and available to staff so that they continue to use them to process not just this experience of a pandemic, but also their day-to-day experiences in caring for our patients. Thank you very much for coming to Moving Through the COVID-19 Experience Art Exhibit.